Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talkin Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we're looking at the rear door and rear luggage area for the Jaguar E-Type 2+2. So that's obviously the 4-seater E-Type with the seat in the back of it, and this is purely focused on the area behind the rear seat in that sort of rear luggage areas where the rear hatch door opens. It's a bit of a continuation video, so please do see the other links at the end of this video to other videos where I did an overview of the sort of main cockpit cabin area panels, so all of the sort of door panels, inner sills, cant rails, rear side casings, etc. There are a few crossovers I've included again in this video, things like the wheel arches and the rear side casings and the hinge and locks, because there's a bit of a crossover with the rear side panel areas of things, so bear that in mind. But apart from that, this is really just giving you a nice overview of that rear luggage area of the car. This is for the 2+2 E-Type. Strictly speaking, it's for the Series 1 and Series 2 models. The only real difference with the Series 3s comes with the rear door panel, which had a cutaway in the middle of it, but I've done a completely separate video for the Series 3s, so just bear that in mind. The wheel arches sometimes changed as well on the Series 3s, but again, do see the other videos on the YouTube channel related to those, because they differ enough that it's worth checking out. I've also done some videos showing the sort of rear luggage floor area fully trimmed up and showing you some aftermarket and hardware items and original parts as well, so be sure to check those out as well. But essentially this should give you a nice overview of what you should consider if you're doing that area of the car. Now, it's worth noting that the majority of the parts in this video are included as standard in the trim kit. Trim kit is basically our complete interior kit, so it's what you'd want to do if you're doing a ground up restoration. Pretty much covers everything you need for the interior. There are some optional extras, things like the moulded replacement hinge and lock panels, which you may or may not require depending on the condition of your current ones, etc. But for the most part, the material side of things are always included in the trim kit, but I'll go over those parts individually as we get to them. Just to give you a nice overview inside a book, we're talking about this sort of section here. So this is obviously the back of the rear seat, this is obviously the rear seat here, and we're talking about all this rear luggage area here, the rear door panel here. The wheel arches are obviously these side bits here, so they span from sort of here going back into the car. This is actually the 2-seater, but same sort of concept. So you've got the wheel arches, you've got the hinge and locks, these are the rear side casing panels, etc., which you can see just there. So that's what we're going to be covering today. This kit has been done in dark blue, which is an original colour for the Jaguar E-Types, and it's been done to OEM specifications, i.e. to factory spec. So it's been done in vinyl. In fact, all of the pieces in this kit are vinyl, apart from a couple of bits of leather, which I'll go over there. So bear that in mind. Right, let's start at the front of the car. Well, sorry, the front of the rear section of the car. So you've got what we refer to as the rear luggage floor. So that is literally these pieces here with the chrome runners on, etc. We supply a retrim kit, so it's material pre-cut to shape to retrim the original plywoods. We can also supply replacement plywoods. We can even trim them up for you. We can also do the chrome strips and the rubbers. Again, do check out the video that I have done showcasing those elements of things. But effectively, the majority of the kit for the rear luggage floor is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of pre-cut vinyl there. And then you also get 2 pieces of leather, 2 pieces of piping, and some trimmed millboard panels here. So that's the rear luggage kit, which we do sell separately as a kit, as just stated there, but all of those pieces are included as standard in the trim kit. The pieces of leather, they are thin down using our in-house leather skiving machine. This has been done in smooth leather as it's tying in with the customer's seats, etc. So we have a in-house leather skiving machine which allows us to thin down leather, which makes it nice and applicable to trim those areas there. Then you get these bits of piping here, so they're pre-sewn piping, and then these pieces here. I'll just show you in the book what they refer to. They are related to kind of the back, you can just see it there perfectly actually. So that is one of those trimmed millboard pieces there. You don't trim all around the edge because you effectively wrap that around the metalwork of the frame when it's done during the trimming process. Then the leather is actually the strips that go down there. They have a sort of rubber material underneath them, tubing underneath them, and then the piping literally sits on the circumference of them there. Not sure we're getting, yeah, that's not too bad. So there you are. So that's the trimmed bit. The leather sits on top and goes down, and then you have a bit of piping there. But be sure to check out the other video because I do go showing those in detail from a set of trimmed up seats that we did as well. So that's the rear luggage kit that's included. Then obviously you've got the wheel arch covers. I've only put one of them out, that's the right hand one. They come as a pair and they include the foam padding underneath. They are pre-sewn. Like I say, they're applicable to the majority of the E-Type 2+2s. The Series 3s did, on the late Series 3s, did change to a kind of two-piece spec where they had a moulded panel and a separate plastic back panel, but the majority of them left with this material wheel arch cover that's piped. You get, before I move forward, in fact, I'll just pick the book up and move forward with it. There we go. So yeah, they're piped across the top there. These are obviously these bits that go down the side here, running from the front here, so they go all the way underneath the side window. That's that sort of bulky area there, and then into the back. They're piped. The piping then gets stripped out, but we do leave the tails on intentionally. That allows you to grip onto something and pull it round during the trimming process. It's all the little tricks and techniques that we've learned over the years with working with some of the best restorers of E-types in the world. So it's all these little tips that we've picked up along the way to make it the easiest for you to fit at your end. So the wheel arch covers, they also include material to recover the inspection panels there. Again, that's a two-seater version, but the concept's exactly the same. So that's material to retrim those woodwork pieces there. Again, if you want, we can supply replacement woodwork pieces, but normally they stand the test of time. You've then got the rear side casings. These are millboard panels. So you've got some lovely flex to them there, which allow it to go around the curvature of the car, which is vital for those panels there. They're trimmed almost all the way around. We do leave tails on, and that is to allow a nice succinct overlap when they come into contact with the respective front side casing panels, which are these parts here. You'll also note that, if I just get this one here, you have these little sort of U cutaways here. So and the front side casing has a similar one there, so when they butt up together, that then becomes the mounting point for where the seat belts fits in there. So a lot of these things are done by design, again, like I say, from years of working on the same kits, almost 50 years of making the same kits and working with some of the most prestigious restorers in the world. We know exactly the best ways of making these kits the best and easiest way to fit them, basically. These parts obviously have the fixing holes on them for the trim panel fixing clips. They have the cutaways there. That's obviously, this is the right hand panel, so this is for the lock mechanism, whereas the left hand panel has two for the hinge mechanisms on there, and they're piped, not down all edges, but most of the edge there and this edge here. And we use Leathercloth piping for pretty much all of our piping, apart from a couple of colours which Leathercloth is not available in. But it's those, again, those little details, because a lot of companies out there use vinyl for their piping, which isn't as suitable. It's a bit bulkier, snags a bit easier, and scuffs a bit easier. And they do it for cost-saving exercises, whereas we go that extra mile and make sure that we use the correct stuff. And as you can see, it looks absolutely lovely, that piping. Be sure to check out my blog and handbook post, and also my YouTube video on the differences between the pipings and suitability to purpose. So they're the wheel arch covers, again sold as a pair there, or included as standard in the trim kit. And then the rear side casings, again sold as a pair or included as standard in the trim kit. Whilst we're on the rear side casings, it's obvious to move on to the hinge and lock covers, because they interact with them. Hinge and locks are these, so they're the two hinges there. So that's obviously the cutaways there and there for the hinges. And then the lock mechanism is this one on the other side here, which is for the big one here. So what we do as standard in our trim kit, and obviously we sell it as a kit separately, is we supply pre-sewn retrim kits to recover your original units. The original units were plastic and they were painted. These days you can get moulded plastic ones, but they're very limited in their colours and even more so in the shades. So I think you get black, red, biscuit, green and blue. But the trouble is we offer, for example, reds. I think we've got 4 main shades of reds that we can use. I'd say at least 2 of which, arguably 3 of which, are original for the Jaguar range, depending on who you ask and what Jag you're up to on that specific day. And so it's down to the pedanticness of colouring and matching everything up. And this is a great example because these hinge and locks here are blue, but they're not particularly close to the blue for the rest of the trim here. So these covers here are ideal for that because you can retrim them over the top and everything then ties in. So bear that in mind. Obviously, if you're going with, say, black, then you can just use moulded black plastic ones. But a lot of people do like the covers on them because they are top stitched. So they do look rather neat and tidy. In fact, I've got a nice example here in red, fully trimmed up. So you can see that's actually the shade of red of the plastic. It's not too far away actually on this is our cherry red. But yeah, retrimming them with that top stitching on looks really, really nice. They come with the chrome finishes on the ends of them, etc. As standard there. So anyway, the retrim kit is a 4-piece kit. You get that piece and that piece which retrims that. That's for the inner side of it there, because you do see a decent amount of that when you're in the car there. And then you get a pair of these ones here, which are for the hinge locks on the side there. So sorry, the hinges on the side there. So the retrim covers, sewn retrim covers, are included as standard in the trim kit, but either the moulded plastics or fully trimmed up versions are both optional extras outside the scope of the trim kit. Of course, if you've got your original units and they're in decent condition and you want us to retrim them for you, you can send them to us there and we can just charge you the labour for that side of things. So that's always an option as well, so bear that in mind. So they're the hinge and lock covers. Then before we go fully onto the rear door trim, we'll just talk about this rear cover panel as we refer to it. It's a trimmed metal panel with the fixing clips already pre-inserted into it and trimmed all the way around with some padding on it there. And it's basically the rear valance panel. Let's see if I can get, we're never going to get a photo of it, but yeah, perfect. It's down there. So it's just on the inside of the cockpit, directly below the rear door. I don't think you're going to get a better image than that. No. Yeah, so it's that panel down there. Again, included as standard, fully trimmed up on the metalwork as part of the trim kit, or you can buy it as a single unit. Then finally, all of these other items here are all related to the rear door panel. And again, we've got a bit of a mixed bag here. So in terms of the actual rear door panel kit, included as standard in the trim kit, you get the main piece here, which is trimmed up on hardboard, has all of the correct fixing holes on them. That's the cutaway there that happened on the Series 3s only, so we leave that in. This edge here is left floating deliberately so that when you come to put it in the car, you snip around the corner and trim round, etc. So you've got this section here, it will get trimmed round onto the back of the car there. So you get that piece. You then get this side piece here, which again is partially trimmed hardboard, which goes, where is it? Just there. And then you get, as standard in the trim kit and in the rear door kit, the material to recover your moulded plastic unit, which goes across this top section here. So to reiterate that, as part of the trim kit or as part of the rear door kit, you get 3 pieces. You get 1, 2, and the material for the rear upper rear panel section of the rear door. For an optional extra, same sort of principle as this, we can supply you the moulded plastic replacement, either in its raw form like that and you can do the work at your end, or we can supply you a fully trimmed up unit ready to go in the car with the vinyl there. Again, tails left on deliberately because you'll end up trimming that down during the fitment to the car. that is by far and away the most popular option. So most people go for the rear door and then upgrade and get the fully trimmed molded black plastic version there. So that's again an upgrade element of things. You often find, unfortunately, that these pieces are very far gone and warping out of shape and things like that. So we generally say it's worth getting replacement ones, and obviously we're happy to trim them up for you. So that's essentially the rear door section there. And then the last pieces are related to the aperture of the rear door. So we offer a couple of kits for these. This is included as standard in the trim kit, which is effectively material to line round the rear door there. But then in addition to that, we offer moulded rubber, which actually sits in the groove. I did have, there we go, that's not it at all, that's related to the gearbox. Anyway, I have done another video detailing purely those pieces on their own, so be sure to check that out, because there is a nice photo that I show you in that. Oh, there we are. So they're the bits there, and it kind of goes around the circumference of the rear door area there. So we offer that. That's, like I say, as standard in the trim kit, that's always an optional extra. Limited on colours again. I think you can get blue, black, green, red, and biscuit, I guess. So bear that in mind. You can, in theory, if you haven't quite got the colour shade match, effectively use both of them in collaboration with one another to get everything matching up. So I think that covers it. The only other thing to say is obviously fixings. We do supply fixings. They are sold separately, but they are sold separately to the panels, but they are included as standard in the trim kit. So it's absolutely loads of those for the main trims. They pretty much do. Yes, the rear side casings, rear door, that's the fixings there. Obviously the door panels themselves have slightly different ones on them for the chromes and whatnot, which I've detailed in my other video. So I think that's covered our bases. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Please remember to check out the video links at the end of this one, and of course any other videos and playlists I've got on YouTube. But any questions, put it in the comments area or contact me directly. Look forward to hearing from you. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you next time.